What's going on, guys? My name is 8-Bit Preston and welcome back to the Sonic Retrospective. In the last episode we covered Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is a fan favourite amongst many but not myself. If you want more intellect on that, watch the previous video and you'll understand why. In today's episode we are going to be covering Sonic CD, which is actually quite an oddball for me, and for many as well. In my opinion, this is quite the strange one in the Sonic series because when it first released, not many people got to play it, simply because of how it was released. But then it got re-released on the Sonic Gems collection, and since then people have liked the game ever since, which I think is kind of weird because when this game got released, nobody liked it. But then again, that's the same thing with most people with Sonic Unleashed these days. When it got released, nobody liked it that much, but now it's one of the best games of all time, according to more Sonic fans. But regardless to that, let's just roll straight on with Sonic CD because I'm quite excited to talk about this game. So now that we have the intro out of the way, let's very quickly go over the plot to Sonic CD. Sonic journeys to Neverlake, where an extraterrestrial body known as Little Planet appears on the last month of every year. Sonic's nemesis, Dr. Robotnik, has tethered the planet to a mountain and begun transforming it into a giant fortress with his robot army. Robotnik seeks the Time Stones, 7 jewels capable of altering the passage of time. Sonic ventures into the planet, followed by the besotted Amy Rose, his self-proclaimed girlfriend. Robotnik dispatches his top robotic enforcer Metal Sonic, who kidnaps Amy to lure Sonic into danger. Sonic clashes with Robotnik and Metal Sonic and uses time travel to stop Robotnik and save Amy. So as you can see, for a game that was released in 1993, this game has a plot that is actually quite expansive compared to the games of the time. Not only is it not as simple as the previous games, which was to just defeat Robotnik to reclaim the woodland creatures and let them live their lives, this time we've actually got a threat. Not that Robotnik is turning creatures into his army to take over the world with, but he's literally taken a fucking planet, chained it to a mountain, and is harvesting energy from it and building his own laboratories and shit up there. That is what you call a villain. Now, obviously, Robotnik's done some cruel stuff nowadays in terms of the Sonic franchise where it stands, but back then this was probably the worst thing Robotnik's ever done, and it will be for a long time up until 1999, and if you know what I'm on about, then you know. But Jesus Christ, I mean, it's a lot to take in at first, but if you think of it, this plot is actually genius. It's a really well written story, and it doesn't get enough attention throughout the game, I don't think. But talking about the game, why don't we move on to the gameplay? Moving swiftly from the plot to the gameplay, I think the gameplay in this game is a mixed bag for the most part. You start off in Palm Tree Planet Zone, which again is B-Tech Green Hill Zone. There's nothing more to say, just look at it, it's obvious, isn't it? But it also has like some Angel Island vibes, which I kind of like, but not getting distracted by the aesthetics, which are gorgeous by the way. But yeah, so moving on to the gameplay, it controls the exact same as Sonic 2, but obviously there's a couple more extra animations to it, and the spin dash has been significantly bum raped, and you're encouraged to use the new move, the Super Peel Out, more than the spin dash. Which it's not a bad thing, but at the same time, where's my nostalgic goodness? Sonic 2 was my favorite. But anyways, the level design is big, and when I talked about Sonic 3 and said it had big level design, which kind of made it, draw me back from the attention, Jesus Christ, this game steps it up to 100. I mean, yes, this game came before Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but at the same time, I mean, Jesus Christ, guys, come on. This level design is it's expansive to the point where you don't know where you're going. And another thing is the time travel, which you go past a signpost, and if it says past or future, you run past it, which spins, and it says, future or past. And you have to maintain your top speed for roughly 10 seconds, I think it is, and then you'll be teleported to the past or future. Now, this may not seem like a big deal at first, but when you realize you need to do this to actually get 100% on the game, it becomes an issue, because if you don't like the level design normally, which I'm not really a fan of, you're not going to like the level design anywhere else, because in the past the level design is easier, but you have to go looking for robot generators to destroy to get the good ending. And then if you're in the future, the level design is made much harder, because it's a dystopian future where Eggman has taken over, which is something that is actually quite a nice touch, but at the same time it just really drags things back for me. But then again, I can't complain, because back then this was actually quite a cool thing, but whatever. Moving forward again, the gameplay, like I said, is basically Sonic 2, but with a couple of extra this and that to it. There's nothing more to say, but on the subject of level design, I am a very, 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 very strong believer that I personally believe that this level design is some of the worst we've seen in Sonic history. Now, in some zones like Palm Tree Panic, and to an extent, Wacky Workbench, the level design can be pretty good. But for the most part, it's, like I said earlier, it's the same problem I had with Sonic 3. It's too big. The level design doesn't need to be this big. If my Sonic game, I want linear level design. I want to be able to challenge myself to get to the goal as fast as possible. Not to be able to run around the place, you know, to just do whatever. That's not my Sonic. I mean, yeah, some people like that, but I'm not a fan of it, I'll be honest with you. And yeah, if you're biased towards this type of gameplay and, you know, you prefer a linear design or you prefer an open-ended design, then yeah, that's good for you. You know, you do you. If you have your own thoughts, make your own video. You know, there's no point in coming here just to argue with me. You think differently, make your own video. I'll watch it. You know, go ahead. But the level design also intertwines with the time traveling mechanic, which again is really I guess a key element of the game. And the reason why it intertwines is because of the speed element. Like I said, you have to maintain your speed for 5 seconds. Well, if the level design is as fuck-faced as it is in the later levels, the chances of you time traveling can be slim to fucking none. Because if you have to maintain your top speed, and there are all these loops, twists and turns and pathways and springs that will send you flying everywhere, you are literally never going to time travel unless you know the level design inside and out, which again does add to the replay value, but at the same fucking time it makes it so you have to, you know, just keep getting pissed off at the level to the point where you just have to just, you know, restart and keep restarting until you eventually get it. But then when you actually do get it, you could have the risk of dying, obviously, because if you go to the bad future, then you're obviously going to have to just fucking keep going, because again, it's harder in the future. And if you have not a lot of lives and you have a low ring count, chances are you could possibly get a game over and you'll have to do it all over again. And this is an issue because unless you're playing the Christian Whitehead version, you're not going to have save files. And that's a bad thing in this game, considering how expansive and big it is. If you're going to go through all of this without a save file to go back to, you know, to get the rest of the time stones if you miss them, then, you know, you're going to have to replay the whole game again. And that is going to be a huge pain in the arse for most people, including myself. That is why I prefer the Christian Whitehead version of the original any day, because of save files, which is another reason why I prefer Christian Whitehead Sonic 1 and 2 over the originals, simply because of the accessibility of a save file. It doesn't hurt to put a save file in your game, people. I know it wasn't common back then, and I can't select the developers for it now because it's over 20 years old, but it wouldn't have hurt. Like, come on. The level design really fucks with this game, and it's a real shame because some of the level themes and everything else, they're just really creative, and it's a shame to see it just fall like this. Really quickly, let's talk about the special stages. Now, these special stages are better than Sonic 2, but not as good as Sonic 1 or 3. Simply because it suffers from Sonic 2's problem being the depth perception and how you can't really see. Well, you can see, it's so much more visible this time. It's just the way you approach things, because if you run up to one of these UFOs to try and destroy it, you're going to either go through it or you're going to hit it first try. And the chances of you hitting it first try without knowing these special stages inside and out is very slim, because not only is this the first time Sonic's ever controlled in 3D, well, apart from the Sonic 2 bullshit, but this is proper 3D movement to an extent, and it doesn't control what you'd expect it to control. Like, it feels a bit dodgy sometimes, and most of the time you'll end up clipping through the UFO due to dodgy hit collision. But considering how bad these special stages are, in my opinion, is really strange, because they inspire the best special stages in the whole damn franchise, being the Sonic Mania ones, which is totally bizarre, but I guess it works. If there's one thing I have to praise Sonic CD for, it's its presentation. Now, obviously the presentation in the previous two games was pretty good as well. I believe this game has some of the best presentation seen in a game in the 90s. This is because of how the game is crafted, if that makes sense. The game doesn't have your, regular structure as I established before, but it has this unique tone to it. It's like I can't put my finger on it, but at the same time I know what I'm talking about. It is something that I can't describe. I feel like Ellen DeGeneres trying to talk about this game half the time. But then again, what can you say? It's a really confusing game, and I'm mind boggled half the time. But moving forward to the presentation again, The game has its art styles very, very mixed, and this isn't a bad thing whatsoever because I'm going to go into that in a second. But the way the game is presented is absolutely phenomenal. I love it, and especially in the re-releases with the updated menus and the music and stuff, it's all just amazing work. Another thing to praise is the soundtrack, and yes, this has been bashed to death at this point. It is definitely one of the best parts about the game, not including its presentation or what I'm going to say in a minute. But yeah, like I said, the music is amazing, no matter if you're listening to the Japanese version or the American version. Now, don't get me wrong, the American version does have its oddballs, such as the boss theme. Like, seriously guys, what happened to this boss theme? But then, as well, in America, you have some of my favourite tracks being Stardust Speedway's tracks. They are really, really good in the American versions, I think, personally. But then you also have the Japanese version, which has the more cheerful side of things compared to the Western audience, which was more for mature people at the time. So they had to obviously make it sound a little bit edgier. But obviously, like I said earlier, the series has gone from totally innocent to edgy mahedgies all the place. But, you know, what can you say? The soundtrack is still amazing, no matter if it's edgy or sweet. I adore this soundtrack, it's amazing. I won't be able to show off the soundtrack, obviously, because there's a lot of tracks to it and blah blah blah. And I'm running out of time on this video already, so just search it up on YouTube and make love to it. But the final thing to praise this game for, and probably the most important in my eyes, is its creativity. This game stands out from the rest of the classic Sonic games, not because of its wonky level design like I said before, but for the way the game is made. Now, it's made like it has blended the imagination of a kid, roughly 5 years old, a teenager around the age of 15, a scientist, and an artist. And what I mean by this is the kid came up with the bright and colourful scheme, like the colour scheme to the level and how vibrant and lush things can be. The teenager invented the level design and the enemy design. The scientist came up with the mechanics for these levels and also the bosses, and then the artist came up with the overall concepts of the special stages, levels, character design, models, sprites, all of that jazz. If you mash these together, it's a big collaborative project between people who have never made a game before and have their own different professions, this works really, really well. So for the simple fact is, not only is this game weird in terms of its level design and this and that, the way that they present the level design to you, it makes you almost think that this game's awful. And when you realise how much effort was put into the presentation and also the creativity of the game, you start to like the game a little bit more, which is the same in my case. I can hate on the level design as much as I want, but I still believe this game's creativeness is absolutely amazing. It's brilliant. Because even the bosses are really creative. One of them involves you being underwater with Robotnik, and he has a bubble shield. Well, it's not like a bubble shield like in Sonic 3, but he has air bubbles shielded him in his little underwater vehicle. You have to jump into the air bubbles to get air, because it's an underwater only fight. You're underwater the whole time. You have to get rid of the bubbles by breathing them in, and then you can attack him. That is really, really smart. And then one of the bosses is just Sonic Spinball. Like, come on, how can you not love this? It's pretty cool. The creativity in this game is where the game shines the most, in my opinion. Because if this game wasn't as creative as it was, people would just see this as a rehashed Sonic 1 with some Sonic 2 details to it, which is not what this game is at all. I think both Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 are better than this game on many levels. But in terms of creativity in the Sonic series, this is some of the best we've ever had and will ever get. It's quite clear to see that Sonic CD was one of Sega's earliest experiments with Sonic, and for the most part it did pay off in some areas, being now one of many people's favourite Sonic games, and also that, like I said earlier, the creativity of the game and its art direction is beautiful. But again, this game just falls flat simply because of its level design. It's not fun. I play a Sonic game to have fun and enjoy myself. I don't play a Sonic game for the music, or because I already know that's going to be good, or for the art direction because I know that's going to be good for the most part. I play it for the gameplay, solely for the gameplay, not story or anything else, just gameplay. And the way this game actually handles gameplay, like I said earlier, I dislike. I really do not like this game's gameplay at all. It's far too maze-like. It's, the past, future bullshit. I'm not into that either. It just falls flat so many times, and it's such a shame. This game had so much potential. It's a shame to see it wasted like this. And I mean, yeah, people are going to get triggered at this video because I know a lot of people like this game, but I don't. I really want to like this game, trust me, I do. Because it's one of the prettiest Sonic games out there from that era, and I'm starting to get into the classic era now because of Sonic Mania. Sonic Mania has completely changed my view on the classic games, and I'm having much more fun with them now compared to most modern Sonic games, which is unbelievable. That's something I never thought I'd hear myself say. But it just come out like that. That's it. Sonic Mania was this franchise saving point. But this game could have done bits, but it didn't. So, with all things considered, I think it's about time we wrap this review up. So, Sonic CD, to put it briefly. This game had a lot of potential to be the best Sonic game ever made, but the developers focused far too much on gimmicks than actual level design to make it a fun and enjoyable experience. While the story may be great with a great soundtrack, presentation and creativity, it just doesn't, it just can't save this game from its level design. But all things considered, I do have my fun times with this game. It does shine sometimes, but it's not often enough to make the game worthy of a feature. So Sonic CD overall gets a 6.5 out of 10. It's decent. So thank you for watching this review on Sonic CD. If you did enjoy, please be sure to slap a like on the video, as it is greatly appreciated. I'm looking to get Hedgehog Month out not Hedgehog Month, that's my mistake. I'm looking to get the Sonic Retrospective out every single Saturday from now on, which is something I'm really wanted to stick to because I think it's a great schedule. I can always get videos published out on time, It's just something I'll be able to do, and it's great fun making these videos. But other than that, in the next video, we are going to be taking a blast to Sega's next system, which was ironically a failure. And I can really see why, but we're going to have a look at Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic's first, not proper, but attempt to make the transition to 3D. So, thank you all for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed, comment what you think of Sonic CD below, and I'll see you all in the next video of mine. Take care guys, and peace out.